Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to use Kaltura in order to not only record videos, but also to show you how to use Kaltura in order to upload videos online and share them with other people. Now, to begin, a quick explanation of Kaltura. Kaltura is a video hosting system that works an awful lot like YouTube. Basically, you can upload videos and they'll be sort of hosted there for approximately 2 years. Now, keep in mind, Kaltura is not a permanent hosting system, unlike, say, something like YouTube. But at the same point, it has much better privacy settings than YouTube does, where YouTube, admittedly, you can sort of keep a video private for maybe 1 or 2 people. The back-end privacy settings aren't as strong as Kaltura, and this can make students who might be nervous about sharing something public on the internet a lot more comfortable. It's a lot easier to share a Kaltura video with 1 to 2 people as opposed to, say, the entire internet. And so with that in mind, it's also important to note that Kaltura is currently hosted through Canvas. It used to be that Kaltura was its own website, but now you gotta access Kaltura through Canvas, which is the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire's online classroom management system. Okay, so with that in mind, let me quickly show you, first and foremost, how to find Kaltura. All right, so the first thing you got to do is you want to click on Account, which is always going to be on the left upper side. So if you click on that button, you're going to get this little panel that pops up. And at the bottom, you should see My Media. When you click on that, this is actually the portal into your Kaltura page, where you can do all kinds of different recordings. Now, as you can see here, I have a bunch of different things available. And so with that in mind, let's say I want to add something new. Well, there's this nice little Add New button, and there's a few things that you can do. First is your basic media upload. So let's say I actually had a video that I wanted to show. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, again, you're going to hit that Add New button. You're going to click Media Upload. So this is just any video I might already have on my computer. Agree to the above terms and conditions. Again, keep in mind that they may be archived or deleted after a period of 2 years of activity. So again, this is not a permanent hosting site. But once I agree there, then it's actually like any file uploading system. You just click a file here, choose it from wherever you have it. So in this case, if I scroll through here, in my downloads, I have a video here. And I can just upload it. Now, it may take some time to upload some media, but while you are waiting, that was fast, you can edit some key details. So for example, I might want to change the name and how it appears so it's a little cleaner. I might want to add a description. I might want to publish it. Now, in general, I just stick with private. It's my own preference because in general, I don't have a particular destination I need something to be published. You can also add things like tags if you want things, video to be easily found. And you can also add collaborators if you want to share this with another individual. Make sure you hit save so that the changes are there. And once you are ready, you can click Go to My Media or Go to Media. And there we go. So now you have your uploaded video. Now, what if, let's say, you decide you want to share this video? So a couple of things to know. First and foremost, when you are in Canvas using Kaltura and you click share, the only option they have available is to embed. So with this in mind, you're just going to take that code, and let's say you're using a website, you might take that code and use an embed tool in whatever website designer, maybe Wix or WordPress, and you're going to embed it. They give you lots of options, so if you want to change how it is used by the individual, if it's downloadable, if they can share and embed it, the size that you want it to be at, just make sure that you have chosen everything before you copy the code here. Otherwise, it's just going to go with whatever its neutral setting is at. But let's say you don't have an embed option. Okay, that happens actually quite a bit. So in that case, you actually want to click this little share icon up here. This will, of course, give you the embed ability, but it also gives you the chance to share to Facebook, Twitter, Google+, through email or LinkedIn, or if you prefer, the link. Now, I actually use the link option most often simply because I do video feedback with my students or for my students. And in that case, the link is the way that works best when you're adding feedback that I have found in the sort of grading tools that in the basically speed grader that Canvas has. So that's one way if you want to share it. You can just copy and paste that link. Now, let's say you decide, wait, I don't like the idea that this is only going to be hosted for 2 years and then there's a chance it might be deleted. So then the option you might use is to download. So you have it down on your computer, then you can re-upload it to a more permanent hosting site. For example, let's say Google Drive or otherwise. As you can see, it's downloading here. So now I am ready to go to upload it to whatever hosting system I want. So that is, in the most basic sense, how to upload a video to Kaltura. Now what I actually want to do is show you how to get a transcript for your video. So once your video is approximately ready, so let's click to uploading to Kaltura, the video that I just made. Huzzah! All right, it's actually ready to go. Once you see that screen, it is ready. Now keep in mind that sometimes, depending on how long the video is, it might take a while to upload and then get processed. And this little share button, that's actually not going to appear until it is done processing. So it might take a little bit, sometimes even up to 10, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how long. So just keep that in mind as you're sort of planning through your, basically your process. So with that in mind, a few other things that I want to show you. So for example, if, let's say, you want to do some in Kaltura editing, you can click this button here. Personally, I prefer editing software like iMovie. It's a little bit more complex, and I find it actually a little easier to use. So I'm not a huge fan of editing myself on here. Analytics can actually be really cool because it can show you how many people and which students have watched the video. But you can always get a general sense just by looking at this number down here. If you've shared the link, it'll actually share and let you know who's watched it. Sometimes it'll give specific names, sometimes it won't, but it's kind of fun to see what students are accessing the material. Analytics will, though, usually give you a fuller picture of who's seen it. But since I just uploaded this video, we're not really gonna see anything right now. Alternatively, you can order captions. Now, this is a really great way to improve accessibility in your classroom. And I do want to highlight that if you do order captions, they're not perfect. It's actually run through the same system as YouTube, and auto captions have errors. So I really want to highlight that if you do have a student with accessibility needs that include captioning, I would really work with our online learning service coordinator or some other resource like Services for Students with Disabilities to make sure that they have proper captions. But this can be a really good holdover until you can get those captions made. So with that in mind, all you need to do is choose the language that you want. It's fairly limited, and unfortunately, it only has options for, in this case, European languages. But then you just click Order Captions. And as you'll notice, it's processing. Then you can generally check in and see that you have your caption request done. Now, of course, it takes time, but I actually find it to be pretty fast. But honestly, the sooner you can upload and get it set and ready to go, the better off you are. All right, so with that in mind, next I'm going to be showing you how to record other kinds of media through Kaltura. Okay, so now that we've covered how to upload onto Kaltura and how to use Kaltura to request captions from YouTube's captioning services, let's actually talk about different ways of recording videos through Kaltura. Now, that's kind of the cool thing. Kaltura has a lot of different options for recording videos that not only you can use, but you can also ask your students to use. So that way, let's say you want to create an assignment that requires them to make videos. For example, in my writing classes, I have students create intro videos for themselves and for their peers to look at. And in that case, it's actually a really fun opportunity to get a little bit of multimodal composition in the classroom. And it's actually really easy because it's already built into the Canvas system. Now, with that in mind, how do we do that? Okay, so there's a couple different options that we have here. The first one that I'm going to show you is, all of them are located through this Add New button. And you'll notice here that there's Webcam Recorder, YouTube, Kaltura Capture, and Video Quiz. Now, I'm only going to show you Webcam Recorder and Kaltura Capture. Those are the most related to the topic at hand. If you do have questions about using YouTube or Video Quiz, I would definitely go talk to your online learning coordinator, as they'll be able to walk you through those steps better than I can. But let's actually start with the Webcam Recorder. Now, the Webcam Recorder is the simplest system. You don't really need to download anything to add onto your computer, as long as you have a built-in camera, which you'll note here. I just have my regular FaceTime camera on my Mac, and a microphone. And I actually use a Yeti stereo microphone. It's a fancier microphone that we can use, but most computers will have an internal microphone. And if you don't have a very good one, you can usually get or use basically your headphones that have a microphone on it. So if you have a set of headphones you use specifically with your phone, that's another great option. All right, so this video is working. So this is a great opportunity. Let's say you want to create a face-to-face video to introduce yourself to your students, especially if you're in an online space. This is a wonderful opportunity to sort of say hello so that they kind of get to know who you are. A lot of people also like to do feedback videos on different assignments. Students might be really anxious to get a grade or to go through feedback on a rough draft. And a lot of times seeing your face and hearing the tone of your voice can make receiving that feedback a lot easier. And so this is actually pretty simple. You just hit this nice big red button that is right there. And now I'm actually recording myself. And so this is a nice, easy system. This is probably the simplest one of the two. There's not a lot going on, and it's really easy to sort of put into motion. Even your most, tech unfamiliar student can jump in and get used to this. So you just have to hit stop. And now I'm actually recording myself. Okay, that's enough of me. And as you can see here, there's a couple different options if I wanted to record again, if I want to download a copy on my computer, or if I want to just use the one that I have. So I will click use this, and you get that same little drop box that then I can again save to my system. So once again, that's kind of the easiest one to use, very little work involved, and it can give you a nice, basically example of what your face or your student's face looks like, and that's awesome. All right, so now that I've showed you how to use the webcam recorder, let's actually look at the other option, which is Kaltura Capture. Now, that's the primary format that I use. Again, I really like it because I can record my screen, which means, let's say I have a student and there's some feedback that I want to do, or sometimes what I'll do is, if I want to create a video to show students how to do something, I can just have it up on the screen and say, what's the purpose of this chapter? And I can start typing it out right in front of them so that they kind of can watch me model the process. This is actually really great if you want to do a flipped classroom where the lecture materials they actually watch outside of the classroom. And so that way when you get in the class, you can do primarily application and workshopping. So that's kind of a great reason to use this. And again, if you want to give feedback and you want to sort of highlight or show areas of a paper or a project, it's really fantastic. And I like it a lot. So again, we're going to use that Add New button. And we are going to go to Kaltura Capture. So when I click Kaltura Capture, first and foremost, I have to agree once again to use this. And I'm going to open up the link. Now, I want to highlight that I already have the desktop recorder downloaded. Now, unlike the webcam, which is browser only, this one does require you to download a program on your computer. And let's say you're using an office computer. Well, you're going to want to go through the service center to download it. And I had a little bit of problems, so you may even need to go and talk to LTS to get it downloaded, but it really isn't too much trouble. Just make sure when you do download, you choose the right system for you, whatever that is. So Kaltura Capture is this little box here. I do want to note that in order to use Kaltura Capture, you can't use it on any system or any browser. In fact, I actually tried to originally record this video on Safari and it did not let me. So keep in mind that it only allows for Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Android, and iOS. It does not like Safari. It does not like Microsoft Edge. So if you're using either of those proprietary browsers, it's just not going to work. So make sure you have either basically the main ones, which is Chrome, Firefox, and Opera, one of those on your computer to make sure that you can use it. Okay, so with that in mind, let's get back to our video. So the Kaltura Capture you're going to see is going to pop up. It's this little square down in the corner with a little white circle in the center. And if you want to create a new recording, you want to click just this bright red new recording button. Now this is going to also give you access to your entire library, and keep in mind that as you go on, you will eventually want to start deleting the uploaded files. Otherwise you are going to have a ton of video files on your computer. If you have a laptop, that's going to end up bogging down the computer pretty badly. So like I said, we're going to want to click new recording. And once that's up, you're going to get this little doohickey here, this little app here. And there's lots of different options that you can use. And I really like it. So again, if you want to record your screen, it'll show you your display here, a little preview. You can also do a select area. So if you only wanted to have them record just your main screen, you could totally do that. I generally just do my whole screen because I'm lazy. The other cool thing is you can also do, let's say, a screen and your face time. So again, if you want to give feedback, but you also want to show your screen, this is really cool because what it'll do is it'll actually combine them both in the final recorded video. And that way, if you want to give feedback and you want your students to see your bright and shining face, that is a great option. Or if you're doing like a long lecture, but you really want to get that sense of animation in the frame, this is a really good option. And in general, if you don't like the camera, let's say you have a secondary camera that you want to use, you can click this and use another option. I just have my regular webcam. Then there's also audio. So you can choose which kind of audio source you want to use. I actually, like I mentioned, use a fancier microphone or the built-in. That's pretty simple and easy to get set up. In general, I don't do, like I said, the camera. Myself, I generally just use the screen. So then you're going to start recording. When you click that button, you're going to get that little 3, 2, 1 you saw pop up before the recording starts. And a pro tip, always give like a second of silence before you jump in. Otherwise, sometimes it does have a tendency to cut you off. Now, as you're recording, there are some options on this little panel that you can use in order to play around with your recording. So, for example, you can mute yourself if you want to stop the mic for a moment. If you need to pause the recording, sometimes, for example, when I record, I might start coughing, so I'll quickly pause until I feel like I'm ready to continue, and then I'll just resume the recording. If you want to play around, do some editing, play around with different features, you're welcome to. I generally don't fuss around with this myself, just because it's a lot of multitasking for me. But alternatively, if you start a recording and you go, oh, I did everything wrong, this is terrible, you just have to hit this big X and you'll have an option to discard it. I'm not going to do that right now. And then finally, if you want to stop and save it, you just have to hit this white square here. Okay, so once you've stopped your recording, you're going to be brought to this page, which is a space for you to basically set up the same information that you would write if you were, for example, on the save page in Okay, so once you hit stop recording, you're going to be sent to this screen. Now, this screen basically is the same thing if you are on Kaltura in your browser. It's a space for you to provide a title. It's a space for you to add descriptions and a space for you to add tags. So if you basically want an easier search option. Now, with that in mind, you have a couple of different options here. Keep in mind that you should always check to make sure that this is the visual. Every once in a while, I've forgotten to, for example, turn on my camera, and so then I realize, okay, this is audio. And it's also a chance if you want to test out the video to see if it's what you want. You can either use the sound or not. But the main things we want to do here are delete, save, and upload. Now, if you've really screwed up, like sometimes I've screwed up or I've decided after listening this really wasn't what I wanted, you can just delete it. It'll delete it from your computer. Alternatively, you can either save it locally on your computer or you can save and upload. This means it's still going to be on your computer. There's going to be a copy saved on your computer, but it's going to automatically upload to Kaltura. So with that in mind, I'm just going to go with the save and upload version, which is going to get you to a new screen. Again, this is your library screen, and you're going to notice that in the top right-hand corner, you're going to start getting notifications for the progress. This is actually really important because sometimes if you have to record a lot of videos in a row, it's going to start popping that information up, which will be caught on the screen if you're doing a screencast. So just keep that in mind so you don't accidentally get a bunch of extra information popping up in your videos. But at this stage, it's showing me that it is done. Now, if you want, you can click this link here, and it's going to send you straight to your video. But since I already have my Kaltura right here, in this case, I can start just hitting refresh, and it should pop up on the screen. Now, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for it to add, but don't hesitate, don't worry, it's gonna pop up eventually. And then the big thing to remember is, as it's pretty obvious here, I have a lot of these videos on my computer, so make sure to hit delete all uploaded files every once in a while, or you're just going to have a massive amount of information, massive amount of videos stuck on your computer, which is not great. Okay, so a couple of final notes that I want to give you. First and foremost, if you end up not seeing your video pop up, even if you've hit refresh, just search the media based on the title that you use. It's going to pop up. It's a weird trick that happens every once in a while, but it is in your system. Just do a quick search for it. Now, the other thing is, let's say when you got to that screen, you entered in some information incorrectly. That's not a problem. You can either go directly into edit mode by clicking the little pencil over here, or you can click test. This is going to bring you to this video, and then all you need to do is go down to actions and click edit. Now, there's actually two modes of editing in Kaltura. The first one is a really basic mode, which allows you to edit the details. You can also change how you want people to use the media itself. You can change the collaborators. If you click on thumbnails, you can even change the thumbnail. So you can upload an image of your own if you would prefer. You can capture it from the video itself, or you can auto-generate. I am just going to say that 9 times out of 10, if you are doing an auto-generate of your face, it will choose the most awkward pictures ever. Now, with that in mind, there's also options for downloading, if you want to re-download it onto your computer, for captions. Again, you can even upload your own captions file if you would prefer, additional attachments, a general timeline if you want sort of timestamps. And so there's tons and tons of different ways to work with it. Now, if you want to start editing the video itself, again, you can just hit this Launch Editor button, and it will actually get you into their browser-only editor system. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is not what I use. I'm much more comfortable in iMovie myself. So if you want additional tutorials on using this, I would definitely go talk to your online learning coordinator, as they will likely be trained on how to use the Canvas video or Kaltura video editor in Canvas. But again, I hope that this has been a useful overview of how to use Kaltura successfully in your classrooms. It really is just actually one of my favorite tools that I've learned how to use here at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, and I use it constantly in my classrooms. And so with that in mind, I do hope you enjoy learning how to use this system and exploring it more so you can figure out how it works best for you. Okay, other than that, have a great day.